Stick around to the end of this video to hear some big news. Some news that you are invited to participate in.
I know the Cassian Andor series ended some time ago, and we're all looking forward to The Bad Batch being released next month and The Mandalorian in March. But damn, I missed the show. What happened to the days when a series would release a new season on network television every year with 20-plus episodes? Those were the days. But now we live in an age of streaming, where series are more like weekly short films. I wouldn't say each episode of Cassian Andor was that, but each episode contributed to a larger movie. At least, that's what I feel like it was. To me, it did anyway. The Star Wars Andor series came out of left field with an amazing story, great acting, and superb directing. The sets and the filming that took place on location felt real. There was limited use of CGI, and it left us wanting so much more. A surprise, to be sure. Why? Because we didn't ask for this series. Not that we should have any say in what we get in Star Wars. Wait. Of course, we have our likes and eras we would like to visit, and some of us get a tiny bit disappointed when Star Wars takes us in a different direction. But be that as it may, the Star Wars Andor series drew us in and kept us there. With characters like Luthen Rael, Cyril Karn, Mon Mothma, Dedra Meero, and of course Cassian Andor, it seems like there would be no room for another great character. But there is one. Well, there are many, but there's one I'm going to talk about. And that is the side character who changed the path Cassian Andor was on, Karis Nemik, the young idealist in the fledgling rebellion during the Aldhani heist. And for a character with such little screen time, he had the biggest impact on the future of our unorthodox hero, Cassian Andor. Sure, Kino Loy did change a bit of the mindset of Cassian by teaching him that working as a team often results in better odds than working alone. But it was Karis Nemik who inspired Cassian Andor to be more than just a drifter who worked with others only when the necessity arose. Think about it. Cassian did work with the other inmates of Narkina 5 to escape the prison factory, but when he and Melshi were in the clear, Cassian and Melshi went their separate ways, and Cassian went at it alone. Again. But after returning to Ferrix for his mother's funeral, Cassian retreats to his secret space, where he reads Nemik's words and understands what he has to do. Moments before Cassian was lost, he felt no real purpose in his life, other than trying to survive day to day. But actually understanding what Nemik was saying, this time he knew he had to act for something greater than himself. Others had tried to teach Cassian this lesson, but he had to learn through experience and failure. Luthen Rael tried convincing him that there was something greater than self, but Cassian was only interested in the money from the heist. While preparing for the heist, Karis Nemik bent Cassian's ear to the possibilities of a greater rebellion and freeing the galaxy of tyranny, but Cassian wasn't ready to hear it. He basically just looked at him like a young idealist and didn't understand how the universe worked due to his young age and inexperience. Cassian's mother told him when he was trying to get her to leave Ferrix with him. She told him she wasn't leaving, that she was staying around for the people of Ferrix and their rebellion. Yet he ran away, and that led to his capture. While in prison, he learned what could be accomplished if there were enough people with the same goal banded together, but it still didn't sink in entirely, even after escaping the facility, which could not have been possible if not for 5,000 like-minded inmates joining him. But let's go back a bit and understand why he wasn't quite ready to hear what Karis Nemik had to say. During the Aldhani heist, there was a question put in Cassian's mind. Was it better to be alone, or is there safety in numbers? And all that seemed to be going toward the latter. But when the heist was over and Arvel Skeen showed his true colors, Cassian abandoned all thought of a togetherness. To him, Skeen represented what this group was about, individual cutthroats looking for their own payday. There was no real common goal to these people and no camaraderie, other than their own self-interests. Cassian Andor didn't understand that Skeen was a loner in that group, that no one else on the team thought as Skeen did. To him, they were all the same, even Nemik. When Vel Sartha told Cassian that Karis Nemik wanted him to have the manifesto, Cassian refused it at first. But when she insisted, he reluctantly took it. As idealistic as Nemik may have been, Cassian could see him as probably the only true soul of the group, but he wouldn't pay it any real attention due to the double-crossing Arvel Skeen had given. But there was a turning point. When Cassian Andor returned for his mother's funeral, he found that his friend Bix Kalin had been taken into Imperial custody for interrogation, and that the entire town was tense due to the recent Imperial occupation and the heavy hand of the ISB. Lost, Cassian retreated to his sanctuary and pulled out the manifesto. It was hinted that Cassian Andor would be content just finishing out his days in hiding until he really listened to the words of Karis Nemik. There will be times when the struggle seems impossible. I know this already. Alone, unsure, dwarfed by the scale of the enemy. Remember this, freedom is a pure idea. It occurs spontaneously and without instruction. Random acts of insurrection are occurring constantly throughout the galaxy. There are whole armies, battalions, that have no idea that they've already enlisted in the cause. Remember that the frontier of the rebellion is everywhere. And even the smallest acts of insurrection pushes our lines forward. And remember this, the Imperial need for control is so desperate because it is so unnatural. Tyranny requires constant effort. It breaks, it leaks. Authority is brittle. Oppression is the mask of fear. Remember that. And know this, the day will come when all skirmishes and battles, those moments of defiance, will have flooded the banks of the Empire's authority. And then there will be one too many. One single thing that will break the siege. Remember this. Try. I know I didn't say it as eloquently as Karis Nemik, but his words were profound, and they were exactly what Cassian Andor needed to hear. Before this moment, Cassian Andor felt overwhelmed. He was so used to doing things alone, only to survive, that he was resigning himself to the fact that hope was lost, because what could he do alone? He was just one person against an empire, and there was no hope of succeeding. But Karis Nemik's words showed Cassian that it only takes one person to crack the facade and bring an end to the oppression brought on by the empire. That it's easier to destroy tyranny than to destroy the reality of freedom being so much more natural, and that, yes, it may seem like you're alone in the fight, but the galaxy is full of individuals ready to fight and also feeling alone. That there are armies that will come together and back him when the time is right. All they need is one thing, one person to make it work. That if you don't try, you'll never know the outcome. So that's what Cassian did. He used the skills that he had learned during his time of self-preservation to be stealthy. His goal to rescue Bix Kalin, then face the one who got him into this mess, Luthen Rael, to either die by his hands or come out on top or join him. But what he saw made the words of Karis Nemik's manifesto seem so much more real. It took one person to incite rebellion on Ferrix, his mother, one person who was already dead, one person who, even if she was alive, was in no state to fight an empire. But she tried anyway, and she succeeded, and now it was his turn. Try to be the one to break the gates of tyranny. Karis Nemik had to die. It's sad to say, but his death played back in the memory of Cassian Andor. He remembered the young idealist and realized he really believed what he was saying. And Karis Nemik was also trying to be one to break the gates of the Empire's tyranny alone. As young, small, and inexperienced as in the universe as Nemik was, he still tried. And that's something Cassian Andor could learn from. One day I'll do an entire video on Nemik's words, break them down, and show how profound they really are. Let me know if that's something you'd like.
And now for the moment you've all been waiting for that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. I have been working hard to make this channel the best Star Wars channel on YouTube, and I've changed up how I do that quite a bit, turning it around to be a place where we can discuss the deeper meanings of Star Wars without involving ourselves in what's going on in the rest of the world. So in doing so, I want to change the name of the channel. Gasp! A rebranding. But I have no idea what to change it to. That's where you come in. I would like you all to leave a comment as to what would be the best name for this channel that reflects what I have been doing here lately. I feel Star Wars fanatic is a bit aggressive, so I'd like to leave that word out of it. And besides, it's the old channel. We're refreshing this channel, and I want it to show in every aspect. There's only one other rule for the channel name, though. I don't want the words Star Wars anywhere in it. There are so many other great Star Wars channels with those words in it. Star Wars Theory, Star Wars Explained, Star Wars Meg, Star Wars Coffee, and so on and so forth. I want this channel set apart without being some copycat. So leave a comment as to a kick-ass name for this channel, and I will put the 5 best kick-ass names up in a poll. I'll create that poll in the community section of the channel, and whatever the outcome, I will stick with it. Whatever channel name you pick, I will give that creator a huge shout out in the first video I make with the new name and logo. But that's it. The big news. Now, let's see what you come up with.
Until then, this is Gerald, a Star Wars fanatic, signing off, wishing you all great health, happiness, and peace. Be good to each other. Thank you all for watching, and remember, this is the way.